welcome to the myimpact.org official announcement and beta launch. My name is Chris Golden. I'm co-founder and executive director of the organization, and it's really my pleasure to welcome you tonight. It's great to see some new faces mixed among those of you who have been with us every step of the way. Special welcome to those who saw our event or who are attending because of DC Week, Digital Capital Week. It's a citywide technology festival that's taking place as we speak, and it's kind of fitting that we're launching our beta tonight on Nonprofit 2.0 Day. So welcome to those of you who are part of DC Week. There are a lot of great minds in the room. A lot of your ideas have helped to build what it is that we're launching tonight, and a lot of your ideas will help to build where we go. I'm really thinking of tonight and talk to many of you about how this isn't an ending, it's an announcement, and it's really exciting for the potential there we can bring myimpact and scale it upwards. So to that end, I want to continue the conversations that we started earlier tonight and get to meet those of you who I haven't had the opportunity to do so yet. So we'll promise to keep this part of the evening short, but we know that you did come for a reason to see our beta, so let's get started. We want to do so with some big numbers. 16.6 million. No, that's not the number of people who adopted our platform in the first 12 hours of launch. No, that's the number of children in our country who go hungry every night from families who are food insecure. That's a real statistic from our country. 1 in 190. 1 in 190, that's the number of Americans who will spend at least part of this year in emergency housing or a homeless shelter. Think of where you went to high school. Think of where you work. Think of 190 people, 1 in 190. That's a real statistic from our country today. And 7,000. 7,000, that's the number of high school students in America each and every day who drop out. It's a stunning statistic. It's what Colin Powell has called the silent epidemic. Works out to 1 student every 26 seconds, or every 3 years we lose an entire high school graduating class in our country. It's a real statistic right now. It shouldn't be news that our country and the millennial generation coming of age in the beginning of this new century face tremendous challenges. From education to homelessness to childhood obesity, we only need listen to President Obama last night to know we face a crisis in our energy. These are extraordinary and these are difficult times, but there's some other statistics that are worth noting. 10.8 million. 10.8 million, that's the number of millennials, now those born after 1980, who volunteered in 2009. That statistic, hot off the presses, released yesterday in the Corporations for National Community Services annual Volunteering in America report. It's up a full million from 2008. Next, 225%. That's the increase in applications for AmeriCorps, the National Service Program. 225%. Again, a real statistic. Millennials are responding and they want to serve. $1.4 billion. $1.4 billion, that's the President's proposed budget for the Corporation for National Community Service next year. You know, in his inaugural address, President Obama called for a new era of citizenship. And in his first address to Congress, he listed but one bill that he asked Congress to pass. In April 2009, they responded, passing the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act, a historic revitalization of national service programs, expanding opportunities to serve for all Americans, but especially for millennials. Yes, millennials are responding, and we want to serve. You know, the story of recent years is best told through a series of Time magazine cover stories. Time has been out front in chronicling this citizen service movement under the leadership of their managing editor, Rick Stengel. In 2007, they began the conversation with the case for national service, what became the blueprint for the Service Nation movement and the backbone of the Serve America Act. 1 year later, 21 Ways to Fix Up America, September 11th, 2008. Barack Obama, John McCain, 2 senators, Columbia University, 1 stage, 1 night. In the mixed, the most contentious election in American history, there was one issue that brought these 2 candidates together: national service. My co-founder Nick and I were there that night.
All right.
Go back. 1 year later, last year. Out of work in America, as the full effects of the recession reared its head last year. Americans were serving in record numbers as the nonprofit organizations they worked with found that their capacities were stretched. Americans needed them more than ever. And now, there's one other cover story you see added to this that sometimes doesn't get lumped together. That's the 2006 Time Magazine Person of the Year. Now, you may remember this one. It had a mirror on the cover, and it's probably somebody very familiar. It was you, and you, and you. Yeah, in 2006, Time took an extraordinary step and named you its Person of the Year. Now, this was just as YouTube was becoming a hit, before Twitter was launched. Imagine that. Life before Twitter. I know, I can't. When Facebook was still in its infancy, Time was out front. Here's what they wrote then. They wrote, "The new web is a very different thing. It's a tool for bringing together the small contributions of millions of people and making them matter. It's really a revolution," they wrote, and indeed it was. So what's this got to do with service? What's this got to do with the other covers that I talked about? Well, both embody the same principle. At the center, at the core, is their shared model of engagement. At the core, it's, well, it's you. It's the citizen, the user, the constituent, the consumer, the volunteer. It's a millennial model of engagement. It's something that we wrote about last year as we built out the concept for myimpact.org in a paper we published for the Citizens Solutions Journal of the General Services Administration. It's a model that's simple, scalable, and social, that embraces inclusivity, transparency, and shared decision-making. It's a model that recognizes the contributions that individuals, the many, can make to solve larger problems. That technology encourages the combining of forces to achieve a goal, and that when we take that same model offline, so too does volunteerism and service. It's essentially the same model. It's with this background that we went out to create myimpact.org, to exist at the intersection of these dual but, as I've demonstrated, very connected movements of social technology and of renewal of civic engagement and participation. And with a mission to engage even more Americans in citizen service and drive them to real impact. Real impact. Solutions to systemic problems. Solving the crises that we face. And the best way to do this, we found, the best way was through storytelling. Again, a timeless American tradition. Telling stories in both traditional and non-traditional ways. Online and offline. Telling stories to demonstrate impact. Whose stories? Well, it should be obvious by now. Yours, of course. So let's watch.